So, while I spent the last few weeks completely buried under a mountain of prison notebooks, a few news cycles completely passed me by, and I still want to talk about them. It's okay, you're used to me being late to the party anyway, right? There's a clip that went viral from a show on thehill.com called Rising. It seems to be a lefty online news outlet, where Bethany Mandel, a conservative journalist and co-author of the book, Stolen Youth, How Radicals Are Erasing Innocence and Indoctrinating a Generation, was asked to define the word woke. Let's check it out.
Of Americans consider themselves very liberal, and probably fewer of them consider themselves to be woke. And so, when we talk about traditional...
What does that mean to you? Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So, woke is sort of the idea that this is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. Woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. It's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
Yeah, look, your time.
Boy, she called it. Considering the topic of her book and how often the word woke is used nowadays, you'd think she'd have a definition on hand. I know I do. I was asked to define the term by some permanently online Twitteroid a few days ago, and I gave this answer. Wokeism is the ethics and processes of socialism expanded beyond class struggle to include race struggle, gender struggle, sexual struggle, and any other near infinite number of marginalized groups as defined by intersectionality. I didn't really bring up wokeism or wokeness in my critical race theory video. It really wasn't necessary, I think. Everyone got the point. But as a quick send-off, woke is just the latest term in that chain of ideology stretching back to Antonio Gramsci. In fact, it's the Zoomer AAVE label for it. The wiki article on woke will tell you as much. Woke is an adjective derived from African American vernacular English, meaning alert to racial prejudice and discrimination. Beginning in the 2010s, it came to encompass a broader awareness of social inequalities such as sexism, and has also been used as shorthand for American left ideas involving identity politics and social justice, such as the notion of white privilege and slavery reparations for African Americans. The phrase "stay woke" has history in AAVE as far back as the 1930s. In some contexts, referring to an awareness of the social and political issues affecting African Americans. By 2020, however, members of the political center and right wing in several Western countries were using the term woke in an ironic way, as an insult for various progressive or leftist movements and ideologies perceived as overzealous, performative, or insincere. This is a different definition than the one I gave earlier, so let's start by breaking mine down. Wokeism is the ethics and processes of socialism. When I say woke ethics, I'm talking about wokeism valuing equality and collectivism as a priori good like socialists do. And when I say woke processes, I'm talking about wokeism using redistribution, planism, and subversion to achieve those ethics, also like socialists do. Expanded beyond class struggle to include race struggle, gender struggle, sexual struggle, and any other near infinite number of marginalized groups as defined by intersectionality. Where traditional Marxists confine their interest to class only, you may sometimes hear the phrase, "no war but class war." Western Marxists, cultural Marxists, intersectionalists, wokeoids, whatever you want to call them, they adapt the traditional Marxist form to other oppressed and oppressor groups. And you can do this theoretically infinitely. As long as you can identify an in-group and an out-group within any dynamic, the intersectional lens applies. However, don't expect most leftoids to be sympathetic to struggles outside of the usual race, gender, sexuality ones. So we have two definitions, the Wikipedia one and mine. They have many similarities, but also a few key differences. The Wikipedia one seems to be more surface level, referencing only being alert to prejudice, while mine is based in their political theory and goes beyond simple alertness, relying on lenses of analysis to critique liberalism. These lenses can actually be used to uncover new truths and reform liberalism, but their creators explicitly meant for them to be used to weaken liberalism in preparation for a revolution. The surface-level definition has been used by a lot of left-wing commentators in attempts to normalize wokeness. As an example, check out this reply. MAGA folks are unable to define woke. Why? Because here's the real definition, being respectful and not a jerk. For example, a bunch of Americans tonight will go to sleep holding their spouse who is of the same sex. If that somehow fills you with rage, then you are not woke. Now, it doesn't fill me with rage that people of the same sex go to sleep holding each other. I think girls holding each other is pretty hot, actually. And yet, I'm not woke. What's going on here is that people are taking that surface level definition of woke, simply being aware of issues, rather than being a tuned out little droid or something, and using it to push forward a sense of moral superiority. And why wouldn't they? The left and the right both agree that more knowledge is generally good. They both privilege the state of being informed over being ignorant. The right even has their own word for it, getting red-pilled. Woke and red-pill describe being informed by different schools of thought, but they appeal to the same sentiment. Woke is the past tense form of wake, which is emerging from being asleep, awoken. Red pill comes from the 1999 movie The Matrix, Jesus, has it been that long, where Neo is given a choice between two pills. The blue pill is the rejection of truth and the return to the mundane, dreamlike simulated world of the Matrix. The red pill is what allows Neo to leave the Matrix and experience the true reality for the first time. Both terms involve a metaphorical awakening, equating sleep with falsehood and consciousness with truth. And both political camps look down upon those who have not yet awoken or taken the red pill as pitiable normies, while looking at those who have rejected the awakening or rejected the red pill as valuing ignorance, perpetuating a comfortable lie, and acting in the service of evil. The actual truth is, of course, you should know all of the information that is contained within both the woke and red pill knowledge sets, and you should not be ideologically committed to acting out either theory. The point I'm getting at, though, is when a leftoid tries to pin the label of woke to the definition of just being a good person, that isn't actually an accurate statement of what woke is. The leftoid probably believes it is, but his belief serves a purpose. Claiming what is normal, especially when what you're pushing is considered abnormal, is a power move. That is why there's always calls to normalize what is not normal. Me personally, being a liberal idealist and all, I think that the normal should be what is factually true, independent of power. But not everyone sees things the way that I do. If woke becomes just being a good person, then that is a backdoor wedge for all of the other stuff contained within the woke label to slip in. You're a normal person, right? Well, then why aren't you, say, analyzing every police interaction you see using intersectional theory, such that even black cops are white supremacists, and everything is all white people's fault somehow? Does that sound a bit weird to you? Well, guess what? It's woke. And woke is what normal good people do. And you want to be a normal good person, don't you? You can see the subversion plainly. You still don't believe it's a power play? What I just described was how the left analyzes the left's use of the word woke. When the left analyzes the right's use of the word woke, this is the result. At this point, woke is a slur. The way the right uses it is an undercover way of saying those people or non-white people. It's a polite way of saying the N-word, but in this case, the N-word includes blacks, LGBTQ folks, and other marginalized groups. Think back to the Antonio Gramsci video again, specifically to the part where I point out that even their own labels used to identify their processes become problematic if someone not in their political camp says them. When my critical theory professor said cultural Marxism, he was talking about the name of a philosophy. When anybody not on the left says cultural Marxism, it's an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, and we're all Nazis for daring to use their language to describe their ideas. It's the same thing with woke here. It's actually funny that they're calling us Nazis over this, considering the Nazis were at least partially woke. No, really. Consider the words of Mia Khalifa stunt double Ash Sarkar when she gave her definition of woke.
Woke is accepting that LGBT identities are valid and should be protected under the law, that woke culture is an acknowledgement that there are racialized outcomes reproduced through institutions in society, and people of color measurably are treated differently. What I want at an interpersonal level is understanding, empathy, and solidarity. And at a political level, I want the pursuit of redistributive goals, whether that's power, whether that's wealth, whether that's land, in order to pursue aims of social justice along class, gender, and race lines.
If you cut away all the fat here, she's actually given us a pretty good formulation. Redistribution of land, power, and wealth along race, gender, and class lines. Is that not what the actual Nazis did? Not with gender, obviously, but race and class? Absolutely. This is why liberals, with their pesky colorblindness, can actually see the socialism that exists within National Socialism. It isn't the same type of socialism that your average Antifa goon would want to see implemented, but it is a form of socialism. And as liberals, we should be against all of it. Here, you know what? You want to know what wokeism is? Here it is. McDonald's in the 1990s versus McDonald's today. This picture is a great representation. I know I sound like I'm joking, and I kinda am, but I'm also kinda not. I mentioned in my video on indigeneity that the broader left creates its own demons to fight. You will find leftists who decry capitalism because, in Marxian terms, it turns labor into a commodity that is bought and sold, where the individual is a replaceable cog in a vast corporate machine that exists only to produce. But at the same time, these same leftists will call for the dissolution of borders, the mixing of all peoples and cultures into one gray, unidentifiable sludge where all cultural difference is destroyed. The left's demand for fungible culture, where in order not to offend anybody, everything must be mixed into one universalized culture, is what creates the environment for the fungible economics that they hate so much. The left creates a replaceability culture, which generates replaceability economics, and then they cry about it as it replaces them. What does McDonald's have to do with any of this? Well, compare the two pictures. The top one is particular. It is undeniably McDonald's. For non-McDonald's fans, this isn't appealing to you. But if you love McDonald's, this is home sweet home. It is less universalized, more specific. It will certainly attract less customers, but it retains its lovability for those customers who do enjoy it. Meanwhile, the bottom picture is universal. It could be any restaurant. Less people are offended, but less people love it. More people will likely eat here, but nobody will truly enjoy it the way that McDonald's fans enjoyed the first picture. Like I said, the left demands fungible culture while decrying the fungible economic structure that culture is inherently intertwined with. That is the end result of wokeism. After you remove all the irregular bits that might offend somebody's sensibilities, there's no reason you wouldn't end up in a padded room civilization, where nobody is uncomfortable, but nobody grows. Despite these people loudly proclaiming progress, this philosophy always leads to stagnation. Oh, there's one more thing to talk about real quick. I know I was given $500 to shave my hair into a mohawk. Well, I've got it now, and if you want to see that video, head over to the side channel, the Dev Kit, or click on the link on screen. I don't know why you want to see me getting my head shaved, but there it is. I'll see you there, guys. I love you.